Hey everybody, I'm Katie, and today on The Healthy Republic, I have the distinct honor of being joined by probably the most polite and certainly the most informed attendee at the most recent UC Berkeley protests, Austin Fletcher of Fleccas Talks. Austin has been traveling around the country to various protests for the past 9 months, giving a voice to those who claim they don't have one. Let's take a look at Fleccas Talks.
We're at the March for Truth here, June 3rd, Pershing Square, downtown LA. We're heading down to Town Hall, and we're going to yell about why we don't like Trump, so he hopefully quits. Why are you against Trump?
Because he's an evil dictator.
What do you think his most evil characteristics are?
He's a capitalist.
Okay, so are you a socialist?
I'm a communist.
He's the first president in like 145 years to not have a dog companion. I mean, I'm not saying that people that don't like dogs are bad people, but I'm just saying.
Kathy Griffin actually spoke for all of us and took the hit for the entire planet.
She didn't speak for me.
She spoke for me.
Who did you vote for?
I didn't vote at all.
Who did you vote for?
I vote for no one. I'm a communist.
Let me ask you, have you been to a meeting of anti-fascist protesters? Because
Oh yeah, I've been to a bunch.
Like, I have been criminalized at peaceful demonstrations, but I've also been involved in, organizing demonstrations that have gotten out of control and turned into like bad.
You may or may not have incited a few riots.
Exactly, yes.
All right, so tell me a little bit about what you've been seeing over the past 9 months, which essentially is the same amount of time that Donald Trump has been president.
Exactly, yeah. I started my channel back in February of this year, and it's really been astonishing. Like, I came into it kind of fresh to the political scene. I didn't know too much about it. So I went out there just to kind of give these people a voice, like you said. And the things I'm hearing them say are pretty ridiculous. They're out there protesting because they're against Trump, obviously. And a lot of the times they're communists, socialists, but for the most part, they're disenfranchised millennials, which is pretty interesting. They have a lot of passion. They're passionate people, but they just kind of don't know where to apply it and how to efficiently use it to do more, to do good. And they want to do good. I know that their intentions are good, but they're kind of just misguided, and they've unfortunately fallen victim to the mainstream media's liberal narrative.
Yeah, and you keep it to 3 simple questions. And then these people, even though they're completely misinformed, have no real understanding of how our republic operates or what they're even fighting for, what they're protesting about half the time. You keep it to these 3 simple questions, and they'll go off. They'll say whatever it is.
Exactly. They're always used to the group mentality. So they're used to being out in the groups and chanting and singing the songs, no fascists welcome here, all the stuff. And they just like to shout in the groups. But when you get them off to the side and lower the energy of the conversation and say, okay, like, so what are you doing here? Like, who did you vote for? What does your sign say? That's when you get them, because they're not ready for that. And they just planned on going to this day with their friends who are like-minded to just kind of, have a shout fest. But when you kind of slow it down and ask them to explain themselves, there really isn't much substance.
Yeah, and you've been quite successful at getting these people to open up. And I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. When you approach them, you don't look like the most intellectual of people, because you have your jerseys on and you have your hair going, and let's be honest, you have a wooden spoon. So talk to us a little bit about your approach with these social justice warriors.
Definitely. So when I first started watching some videos, I was watching a lot of like Waters World with Jesse Waters, and Owen Schroyer as well. Does a lot of interviews. I noticed that they kind of approached, and they would always wear suits and the MAGA hat, and they had the nice microphone and the 2 cameras. So the people protesting would kind of naturally close off and like pull back a little bit, not wanting to give up any real information or get vulnerable with them. But I approach them. I have my stupid hair, my fat face, and I use the wooden spoon microphone. So they think I'm an idiot. Like, they come up to me, they're like, "Yeah, I'll do an interview. This guy's an idiot." But realistically, I'm from New York. Like, if someone stopped me on the street to do an interview and they had a wooden spoon microphone, I would just say like, no thanks. And then I think that's that lets them open up. My outfits are kind of weird and funky. I kind of wear like thrift store clothes I get for free. So they think not much of me, and because of that, they really open up and show how little they know. And instead of like attacking them on their points right away, I kind of let them dig deeper and dig deeper. So instead of, if they make a weird point, instead of calling it out right away, I'll say, "Oh, cool. Like, what do you mean?" And I'll just kind of agree with them and like ease them into it, just to give them enough rope to hang themselves.
Yeah, and that wooden spoon is very significant to your family and your family history. Tell us a little bit about why it's a wooden spoon specifically.
Definitely, definitely. So growing up, my mom always gets mad at me when I say my mom would hit me with the wooden spoon if I misbehaved. So she threatened me with the wooden spoon growing up. I have to do that for her sake. But I got whacked with the wooden spoon here and there if I misbehaved, and it was good. I think it gave me discipline. I was well behaved. And now I'm not a communist protesting in the streets. So I think, yeah, it has a lot to do with my Italian mom and Italian grandma.
That's very nice. And I'm not Italian, but I'm German, and it was kind of the same approach in my household. You say that in a way you've kind of had this like hashtag woke moment, because you went to Dartmouth, and at the time, you weren't very involved in politics or anything like that, and then you graduated and you went to Wall Street and you worked there for a while, and now you're out in LA and you're using comedy and you're very much so involved in the political kind of scene as to what's going on, and your conservatism has kind of woken up, I guess. Tell me about that transformation and how you've become so involved in what's happening in today's society.
Absolutely. Yeah, I lucked out. I luckily didn't go to enough classes to get indoctrinated at college. I had a really fun time in college. I played football. That's my helmet right there. And I think, yeah, I mean, maybe I should have taken school a little more seriously, but I did have a fun time. I did have other requirements. I played a lot of football, so I didn't get it fully indoctrinated like some of these kids. And when I graduated, I worked on Wall Street for 2 years at Citigroup. I did their analyst program. I was on the mortgage bond trading desk and the equities trading desk. And it was great. It was a good experience. It was really competitive. The money was good. I was living in New York. It was really great. But I knew I wanted something more. I wanted to be more creative, and I wanted to be more influential. So I moved out to Los Angeles to pursue comedy. And then just a few months later, like you said, I had my woke moment when President Trump won. I mean, honestly, in the beginning, I knew he was the man of the people, and I knew his message was great. But I always thought the system was rigged enough that Hillary was going to win. And when he won, that just revitalized me. That just lit a fire underneath me, and I was so excited about this country and the fact that the democracy was still intact. So after the election, I just took it to the streets a couple of months later and just started asking some people some questions, because I think the left and these protesters they really got too much credibility. The media was always covering them and saying, oh, the protesters are at LAX protesting the Muslim ban, as if they're doing a just cause and they're credible people. When I knew it wasn't a Muslim ban, I knew most of the countries are outside of the restricted countries. I knew that most of the Muslims live outside of the 6 restricted countries, and I knew these people didn't know that. So by exposing them, I was also in a way able to expose the liberal media's narrative for people to see what's really going on.
Yeah, so you really took it upon yourself to go to these protests and to put yourself sometimes in harm's way. I guess I watched, some of the dozen or 24 videos that you have out there now. I mean, you actually physically put yourself in harm's way to kind of stop some of the protesting that's happening, because it's getting violent at a lot of these protests. What are you seeing there, and how are you, putting yourself there to kind of stop it?
Yes, definitely. So my whole thing is violence is I'll never hit somebody unless it's self-defense. I'll never even try and escalate a situation. I try to de-escalate anything that heads towards a violent direction. But at these protests, unfortunately, the media has really been pushing the idea that there are Nazis in the U.S. and we have a huge Nazi problem, and everyone who supports Trump is this alt-right Nazi horrible person. So the people at the protests, unfortunately, really bought in, and they think oh, there's the Trump supporters, those are the Nazis. And they're like, yeah, those are the Nazis. And everyone lives in their own echo chamber, so they keep seeing their same information reaffirmed to them, and as the right does as well. So when they do see someone from the other side, they believe it's a Nazi. So now they have this whole thing, oh, it's okay to punch a Nazi. And people think I'm a Nazi. They say I'm fascist, I'm a white supremacist, whatever. And I'm not. I'm just there trying to get some information from these people.
Why are they chanting Nazi scum off our streets at you? Are you a Nazi?
No, I'm not.
This is weird. It doesn't make any sense then.
Indian, yeah. Dude, just today they called me a white supremacist. Every white supremacist in the country supports Donald Trump.
Every Black Panther supported Obama.
And I would argue that the Black Panthers are way better than the KKK or any white supremacist.
The same thing on the other side. It's just identity politics using violence.
So the liberal media's narrative of Nazis in the U.S. has really created this justifiably violent environment, which is, scary. It's more bad than good for sure.
Yeah, and we're trying to, just like on Healthy Republic and what you're doing with Fleccas Talks, we're trying to inform people and get people to wake up and to see what is happening. We're all about educating people and having conversations with one another. So tell me a little bit about what Fleccas Talks is doing. I know you've had some issues with YouTube and the demonetization of some of your videos. So tell me about Fleccas Talks and what you're trying to do to keep this conversation open and get people engaged and informed.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had some issues with my demonetization. YouTube basically went through all my videos and just blanket demonetized them. And I challenged each one individually. And they came back and said, oh, okay, you were right. We will monetize them all except for one. I think one of them they didn't want to. So I'm back on monetization with YouTube, but it's kind of over at this point because all the views already happened. So I'm making no money now. It was kind of their plan all along. The same thing is happening on Instagram. There was a month where I was gaining like 1,000 followers a day, and then Instagram updated their policy, and I gained probably 150 followers in the last week. So they're doing their best to kind of shut me down. I've created a pretty big audience now across my platform, so I'm not too worried. But going forward, I'm going to have some wooden spoon correspondence in the local universities around here, the state schools, and also across the country. And we're going to have some people asking some questions to their professors, to some of the students on campus. And we're going to have, a legion of the spoon people, hopefully within the next few weeks.
That's awesome. So, if I'm a college student and I'm on a campus and I'm like, I want to carry a wooden spoon around and ask some questions, where can I, contact with you? How can I get you my information?
Absolutely. If you follow me on Instagram at Fleccas, Fleccas, and DM me or use the email in the link on my profile, just reach out to me, tell me where you go to school, and I can send you basically a packet that explains Fleccas Talks, what the goal is, how to approach the teachers, how to maintain respect for the other students and your teachers while also proving a point and potentially creating a good viral video. I think that, yeah, like you said before, the more we have conversations, the more we interact with each other, the more information is spread to both sides, which is very important. We need to kind of break the echo chamber. And I think by talking directly to the professors and teachers that are kind of indoctrinating the youth, I think that's a big step in that process.
Well, thank you, Austin, very much for coming on to Healthy Republic today. I appreciate you taking the time. And I don't have a wooden spoon. I have a big plastic ladle. So, maybe you can send me a spoon and then I can kind of help out and continue to inform
Absolutely.
the
I'll
public.
send you one of these for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day. Hey everybody, if you liked that video, make sure to head over to FreedomProject.com where there'll be plenty of more videos with me and my Argyle.